Okay, so we're going to make our first wheel project, which is going to be a cylinder. You're going to start about with this much clay. It should fit in your hands, just like that, and you're going to form it into a round ball, okay? The wheel has pins, and we have bats, and you can put that bat right on the pins. You should have a ring around it of some kind, and I just put these for fun. So I'm going to put that right in the middle and squish it down. Pound it a little bit. You should have a rubber rib, a pin tool, a stick tool, a little sponge, and somewhere around a string tool you should have access to it, and a little bit of water. You don't need a lot of water because it can fall on the floor, and we don't want to pick water up. Your chair should be about this far from the wheel. You're going to sit on the edge of the seat. You don't have to have a picture of mine. Okay, and then you're going to have your knees as close as you can. My knees are pretty short, my legs are pretty short, so this is the closest I can get. If you have long legs, there it should be right here at
like so.
Yeah, so at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Okay. So start by pounding it down. It should fit in your hands. The wheel's going to go this way. If you're right-handed, it should go in your right hand, fingers like that, and the pads of your fingers. If you're left-handed,
what?
Oh, I turned it off. If it's left-handed, it should go like that. You don't want to have it going like this with your right hand because you're going to have a problem throwing it. Okay? So the first thing you do is you want to center. First, so you get it wet. I'm going to come in with this hand and notice it kind of bounces. And I'm going to start pushing in a little bit, and that unevenness is going to start going up. Then I take this hand and I push down. So I'm pushing down it in with the same pressure. My elbows are anchored on my knees and my body, so it starts to come to center. Okay, and I'm going to get my water, and then I'm going to do what's called coning. So I put my hands together and I pull up in a cone, and then I'm going to push back down. My thumbs are locked. I'm going to come up into a cone like that, clean the sides. Always want to keep this pretty clean, get more water on it, and I'm going to grab my thumb and push down. There are different ways to do this, and eventually, when you get advanced, you find a way that works well for you. But this works pretty well, I should say, our purposes. And then as you get more centered, you can start going faster and faster till you're going full speed. Okay, and that's whoops. If you move fast, you're going to knock it off center. So you want to make sure you're not doing any quick movements. Just hold it center for a while.
Go faster.
And it should do well. Should do a good job for you, okay? Move your hands away slowly. So now we're centered. I'm still going fast. The next step is opening, okay? Just put my thumbs here. I don't just drill down with my thumbs. I just want to find where the center is. So I make a little dent. Put water in the dent. I'm going to hold it with my left hand, which is my helper hand. And then I'm going to drill with these fingers. I'm putting this finger on that finger and this little finger on my thumb. Just going to go straight down. I'm hugging the outside. I'm not denting it. Don't do that. Just tug it. Okay? And just go in till you get where you think you've gone far enough. And then I'm going to test it with the pin tool. I want 2/3 to half a pin tool. And that's good. Okay? So I've centered. I've opened. And now we're going to make a base. So I'm going to pull towards myself just a little bit. Notice I'm not putting my hands on the wheel and then starting it. I always come to a wheel that's already moving. I don't need to make a very big base because it gets wider as you pull. I do need to compress it though, so I'm going to take my sponge and just push down here and make sure there's a nice edge in here at right angle, okay? And I'm going to push this down so it looks like a little donut. And now I'm ready to throw. So I've centered, I've opened, and I made it a center on the inside. Now I'm going to pull up the wall. So to pull the wall, I have to turn my hands like this. I'm going to let my fingers glide right here at 3 o'clock. And I'm going to put this finger over, my thumb over that other thumb. And I'm going to pull up like this, just using these fingers, okay? You want a little water in there? So I'm going to pull up and just pull that clay up off the top. If I get a little wrinkle there, that's okay. I can just push it back down. I'm always going to push down on the top by pinching with this hand and pushing with my fingers like that, or the sponge. Okay, at this point I want to slow down a little more Go at a reasonable speed. Now I've got my first pull. I've also got a bunch of clay here. So I want to get rid of that by using this end of this. It's an extension of my finger. So I can claw in like that. Off it comes. Okay, now I can put my finger here. You can throw it as a sponge in your hand if you want. But I'll move it so you can see better, and I'm going to pull straight up. Once you get, so you know what you're doing, you don't need too many pulls, okay? I want you to make for your first project something that's fairly narrow here and as tall as you can make it there, okay? So I've done 2 pulls. I can take a little more clay out. I can use my finger, that's okay. And I can pull one more time. So that's pulling the wall. You just pull it up. And I notice I want to do one finger against one finger, 1 point in the circle. I don't want to go like this ever, it'll confuse it. Just 1 point, okay? So now I've pulled it up. Now you can do some things to shape it. If I push out here and in there, I'll get that shape. If I do this, I'll get that shape. So there's a lot of different shape things you can do. I can use my rib, this flat edge, to kind of straighten it up, like that. And I can use my thumb if I want to put little lines in it. So there's lots of things you can do to decorate it, okay? So I'm pretty much ready now to be finished. I have to trim the top and trim the base. I'm going to compress this, but pretty much everything you make is going to be slightly uneven. So we want to trim it with the pin tool. We're going to come in, I'm going to put my fingers together, push in like this till I touch my finger up at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to go kind of slow and push in the clay, and then when I'm cut through, just lift it off. Now I know I've got a flat surface here that's parallel to that, so I can cut a foot ring, which we're going to do tomorrow. So I'm going to round that off by pinching here and pressing my sponge. Not very hard. I've got a little water in here. I'm going to sponge it up. Notice I'm always bracing this hand with that hand. My helper hand always braces my worker hand, okay? So I can just pull it one more time. I can make it a little narrower maybe. And then I'm going to trim the foot. And I'm just about done. I take, to trim the foot, I want my stick tool. And I'm going to hold it like a pencil. And I'm just going to stab in right here, okay? A little off center. Okay, so I just hold my wrist. And I just stab straight in until I hit the bat or the wheel head. And then I'm going to stop. You don't stop a lot, but you got to stop there. I'm going to take the pin tool and cut through it right here and let it go through once, and then pick that up. Now this is important, and the better you get it, the more important it is, because you can save yourself a lot of trouble later. I'm going to take this like a snowplow, and I'm going to take off that extra clay. And then if I want, I can take off maybe a little more so it's easier to foot, and I can even make a little line here. Cut that little bit off so it's easier to cut it off the bat, okay? Cut it off the bat, then you're going to put a little water here. And my ambition is to draw the water underneath it with a wire cutter or a string tool. And it's sometimes good to make the wheel go just a little bit. Hold this as tight as possible, like dental floss, and in it you go, okay? And there you got it, okay? So that's it.
Oh yeah, round of applause, yeah.
Okay.